Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's live. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, I'm so glad you're here. I'm Anne Lewis, an independent Stamping Up demonstrator based on this beautiful Sunshine Coast. Tonight, I'm sharing a project, to be honest, I absolutely love. And this is the project, so it's a little wall hanging. Now, this is actually an encore presentation because I shared this project with a joint. I'm actually going to turn you around and show you and bring you up to me. Wait a minute. Yes, hi everybody. I did this project in a joint live with Christine Josty a couple of weeks ago. However, I had major technical issues. It's something like no internet, so I couldn't live stream it to either Facebook or to my YouTube channel. So I've decided to do it again. What that meant when it doesn't go anywhere, nobody got to see it. So unless you watched it on Christine's channels, you wouldn't have seen it. So this is for all my Aussie viewers, and I hope you actually enjoy this project. Now I'm going to put you back down to my desk, and I will say, yes, I'm running a little late because again, I had some major technical issues tonight. Um, but that's okay. We we get used to that. Normally it had been going so smoothly, but tonight, for some unknown reason, everything slowed down. But I think we're right to go. So let's come back down to the desk and I will show you how this wall hanging actually works. So it's really easy. The idea is you can swap your own um, decoration, whatever, this piece out for whatever you like. So it's really easy. You're just going to take those off. And then we're just going to basically work on this. And I'll show you how to do these as well. But I'll show you how I've done this. Now, to be honest, I did it 2 weeks ago. And I was unsure whether I'd be able to do a Facebook Live tonight. But yes, we're ready to go. Hi, Glenda. Hi, Myrtle. Hi, so let's get started. I'm going to show you how to do these first because these are really nifty. And let me know if you have seen this, because I'm assuming that it didn't go anywhere a couple of weeks ago, because I can't find it anywhere. Rightio. So you see, I've got a piece of twine string or whatever here, but these are super cute and I love them. And before I actually get going, I got this idea of these from my team leader, Liz Collette. She kindly allowed me to share it with you. Anyway, so they split and they've got a magnet in there. I'll show you how to make these. There's basically 4 strips of magnets. They don't have to be super strong magnets. They work however, even the cheap ones. And I'm using cheap shop magnets tonight. Now, I'm using woven, I think it's called woven textures. I'll just double check. Woven textures 12 by 12 paper. And I will put the measurements in the description later, probably tomorrow. For those that have been following me, you have probably guessed there's been a lot happening. And so I am a little behind in a few things. I'm sure you'll understand because life just does get like that sometimes, doesn't it? So what we're going to be doing, this is 12 by 12 paper, and I'm going to be cutting 2 at 2 3/4 by 12 inches. So it's automatically 12 inches. We know that. So we're going to cut 2 3/4, and then I'm going to cut another one at 2 3/4. Feels like a lifetime since I last made this. So, right. And then I'm going to score both of these, and I'll read these measurements out in case you want to write them down. I'm scoring at 1/4 of an inch 1¼ inches, 1½ inches, and 2½ inches. So let's go 1/4 inch. Get rid of that cutter. So 1/4 inch, 1¼ inches, 1½ inches. Now, to be honest, I'm going to turn that around. 1½ inches. And make sure you've got this nice and straight down the bottom. Otherwise, well, in your trimmer is a better way of saying that. 1½ inches and 2½ inches. 2½, 2½ inches. Which basically it's a left and right. So you've got, I'll show you how this turns out. I'll come back and do the other one in a second. But just so you get a picture of what I'm scoring and how it turns out. So when I'm cutting next time, the next one, you'll understand what I'm doing. Now, fold it over. As I said, it's a little while since I've actually made this. So, oh, good. Thank you, Glenda. I'm glad you said that. As I said, I did do it all, but it just never, I had no internet. What can I say? No internet to share it with. Which was a little frustrating. But anyway, I know. So here we go. So what will happen is one of these will pop out. I'll glue along here, and you'll see. Now, just before I forget, I do have to cut this. I do my scoring first, and then I will cut this at 6 inches. Now, because I've folded that over, I've just got to be a little careful how I cut this. I know that solved that problem. So I have 2 pieces like this. And then I'm going to do exactly the same again. I'm going to score at 1/4 inch. Where's my 1/4 inch? There it is. Now, it's the old story. You want to score well, but not too hard, because it's designer series paper, and designer series paper isn't as thick as our cardstock. So you don't want to do too heavy, but you want it enough so you get a nice clean score line. So this one's 1¼ I'm going to turn it around and go at 1½. And then 2½ inches. So I'm just making sure I've got it nice and straight in my trimmer. Cut it at 6 inches. Let's get a little bit of this out of the way. 6 inches. So I've got now 4 pieces. Hi, Jan, how are you? I know. So I want this side on the outside, and I wanted the pattern to go long ways. Hence why I've cut it as I have. This one doesn't look right, but hopefully it is. I'm sure it is, because I measured it. Anyway, so let's just make sure I've got that right. Yep, it's right. I don't know that it is. No, it isn't. I haven't scored that right. So let's see if I can sneaky correct it. So it should be 1/4 inch, so that one's right. The next one's at 1¼ and I'm a little off on that one. But anyway, I don't think it's the issue. 1¼ and 1½. and then at 2.5. I think I'm just a little off, but I think we can make this work. Let's see. You've got the right measurements, so you can fiddle with yours and get it to be okay. I think this will be okay. If not, I will redo it off screen, but you'll get the idea. Oops. So here we go. I'll just. So what's going to happen here? This is going to look. In a minute. There's something wrong with my computer tonight because the pop-ups keep coming up and then everything stops. And I just lost my measurements. Wait a second. Give me a second. I know. So I want to make this basically a rectangle. So you can see. So it looks like that. Right. Now, what I'm going to do now, you can use the 1/4 inch Stampin' Up double-sided paper, but for me, I felt I needed a little skinnier. It gave me a bit of room. So I've got a non-Stampin' Up piece of a version of tear and tape, or similar to tear and tape. And just going to run it along here. Now, if you don't have a slimline version of some double-sided tape, want this nice and square, you could use some multi-purpose glue. I'm trying to concentrate on about 5 things here. So here we go. This is the way, sorry, you may not have seen that. This is the way to get them nice and square. Now there's one done. So I'm applying the tape to the right side of this. Let's see how we go with this one. So again, we're just going to fold that over, get it nice and square. See how I'm just lining up the edge with the score line, working my way slowly across. There we go. There's 2 done. Just got to do another 2 here. Doesn't take long. This is quite a quick and easy hanger, and what I love about it is you can make it your own, use your favorite stamp sets, and you can put anything on them at all. And I think later this year I'm going to be doing a 4-season one. Now, in Australia, as you all know, our seasons aren't that clear, but certainly we have something to celebrate 4 seasons. Let's get going. Yeah, I'm lining up the edge. Let's just have another go there. Sorry. Hopefully you can see this. If you're having some trouble, use your bone folder or something similar. You can see how all of a sudden that's quite easy once I use a bone folder. So who's had a good week this week? Who got some crafting in? I haven't been getting a lot of crafting in. I did make a wedding card this week, which Kiko helped me with for those that watched the post. Let's pull this off. Do this the same. Depends on whether you're left or right-handed, I think, which way you go on this. Now, I'm really quite glad that I made a couple of these, because I've got some friends who I love to give just a little, having a bit of trouble tonight. Not because it's difficult, I'm just was running late, and you know what happens when you're running. Well, not so much running late because I had issues. Oh yeah, so there's my 4. Yeah, I've cut my little strips, as I said, of the cheap shop magnetic sheets. Now, before we get too carried away, I want to show you this. So I've got, and it doesn't matter which 2, I can pick any 2. But I want to be able, and I've cut them just under 6 inches, so there's no issue with these matching on. I really want to shoot my computer tonight. Now, all I want to do is match them like that. And you can see they're a little offset. Now, if you don't like how they're matching, you can turn them around, because I don't know what we were taught at school, but you can see that's the way they match up a little better. So let's pick which is my inside and which is my outside. So that's how I'm going to do it. Now, if your magnetic strips aren't sticking as well as you'd like them, and you're just going to drop them in on the center, you can add some extra glue, super glue, whatever you like. Now, there's a bit of a secret here. So, where's my other matching one? How can one have walked just as, oh, there it is. So, line this up. So, it lines up. Because you want these always to be level. So, peel off the back to the second one. All right, so remember, I want to make sure that this is the way I want them. So I've got my 2 joins facing the same direction. And I'm just going to line it up like that. Now remember, I've got a bone folder that I can put a bit of pressure on that. And if you gently pull them apart, you can also, and I forgot to show you something, how I did I just showed you a really hard way of doing this. And I don't know, I've forgotten how, but really, there's a really easy way. They need to go that way. When you're doing these, make it like a box, and I'll show you this maybe later. Let's see how long this is taking. And so I've got my seams down the bottom. Now, when I mean make a box, because obviously it is a box, but you can roll them out flat and just glue it, and it automatically goes in the right place. And I'll show you how to do that. Wait a minute. I'm just trying to put these. So I've got my seam. Is it at the bottom? I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put this one. So this is the easy way of, actually line it up first. Is that the right way? If it didn't snap in like that, I can turn it around. Oh, it didn't work. See how that snaps nicely. I put this on. Again, make sure my seams are so neat. I can't actually see the seams. I've lined that up and just put a bit of pressure on them so they stick. As I said, if you're having trouble, so there's my little top and bottom, but I need to put some string through them. You could use a lot of different versions, but I used a crocodile because I just found it gave me the same distance. Let's pull these apart. Gave me the same distance in, so I didn't have to measure in. I could just put the crocodile in. I just do need to, except I don't know what I'm doing. I want to put it in the 1/4 inch part. I don't know what I was thinking then. Oops, that's the top. This is pretty easy. You can slide it in, and it's kind of the same width as the crocodile. So you can see I've gone in there, and I'm going to go in this end. You can use a hole punch. You could use even take a pick tool to put a hole in. So you can see I've got the 2 holes there. Now I pulled out some really old retired, I think they call it jute, but you could use whatever you like. Now I'm going to put this through the hole. You could use string. So many different options. You don't need anything special, but I had this in my retired box, so it was pretty simple. So I'm just tying a knot, and then I'm going to double tie it just to make sure. And when I did the original one of these, I have to say, I had trouble tying that double knot. So I'll tie that, and then I'll pull it through. Hopefully you can see that. Let's have the hanger maybe that big. Then I need that extra space. Always trim it off later. So tie again, put it through the hole first. And I just want to make sure it's not all twisted. That's okay. Tie my double knot. Now, the good thing about this project is that it's a super cheap gift for somebody, and you're using up your stash. So how cute is that? So you can see there my top and my bottom. Let's put that aside and then put together the rest of the project. Now, I missed a colour here. So that's one of the first things I did when I bring back my actual project has disappeared off the desk somewhere. This is what happens when you have a lot happening on your desk. At least there's no Kiko here today. I can't find my original. Oh, there it is. So this is my original one, but I've changed the project. Now this is the Spotlight on Nature, but tonight I thought I'd just change it up and use the Gallery Blooms. It'll look a little different, but I've kept to the same colours because I didn't have time to experiment with my colours. But I'm going to be using Basic Beige. And who else likes Basic Beige? Who uses Basic Beige? I know it's not one I use a lot, but every time I use it, because it's such a neutral colour, I don't know whether you can see that, such a neutral colour, it goes with so many different options. It's got a green tone. Now I'll show you the Gallery Blooms. So I've just chosen this to do a background. And if you see the original one in the Spotlight of Nature, I just did a leaf one. It's just random stamping, doesn't matter how you do it. You can, you don't want it all in a line, and you can do some stamped off. Well, not that one I couldn't, but it'll work out. To be honest, you don't really get to see this. This one's a little darker than that original one I did. As I said, I'll just put a little bit of where I've stamped it off. I know. So they always turn out a little different. Actually, this original one that I've done, I did in grey granite. I hadn't realised that, but that's okay. This will still work. Now, I then have, sitting on my desk somewhere here, I've cut these out using the everyday arches, and you see me use them all the time. All the time. And I'm just trying to find them on my desk. They'll pop up. Anyway, I'll show you how I've coloured. Now, this is a very it's got a few techniques, but they're a lot of fun. I'm just making sure I've got lots of colour on that. And don't necessarily need it right in the centre, but I want it fairly close. There we go. You can see it's got a lot of definition. Now, I'm just going to put the lid back on because you know me, I get ink everywhere. And I've got a couple of different techniques here that I'm going to show you. Just looking for some blocks that I've hidden over here. Now, when you see what I did here, and I don't know that you can pick it up, is what I've done is I've got like a dark night of navy with a misty moonlight. Now, I've got those inks here. And I'll show you what I did. Now, there's lots of ways you could have done this. When I first did it, I used my markers. But this time, I'm for quick and easy, I'm going to just add some misty moonlight on one block, and on the other block, I'm going to add some night of navy. I could use reinkers as well. And so my this is my misty moonlight. I'm going to start with my night of navy down the bottom of the flowers to create that shadow. And I'm going to use blending brushes, which you don't see me use very often. And I'm just going to make sure a couple of these, I think, are a little empty, but I think this will be okay. So I'm just picking up some colour and starting at the bottom. And I can already see this may not have been the best flower. See, I didn't trial this first. Who else has a go first? And then goes, oh, I should have used another flower. So I'm just adding that navy. And then I'm going to use a different blending brush. I know I could clean off, but I'm going to come back to that navy. I'm going to pick up some misty moonlight and drag that colour up. So I'm just working with the shape of the flower. Each petal, basically, it's done individually. And I'm keeping those lines in the direction of the petals. It'll blend a little bit in. Now I can, which I didn't, I can add a little bit of, where is it to a tiger? Oh, darling duckling. Just a little tiny bit. This is one of our new in colours. Oh, there's a lot of colour on that one. Got another blender, just so I didn't have to keep cleaning and wasting your time. So I'm just going to add tiny bit. You can see, you know that when I do colouring, it's going to be simple. Now, let's do the other couple. Which one's navy? Hopefully this one. It's got two ends. Don't know whether that's navy or this one is. Guarantee. There, that's the navy. Okay, so let's just go and do the other two. You can see this is a really quick technique. Just putting the shadow down the bottom. I'm going to do two at one time this time, just to speed things up. I don't necessarily recommend that. And if you end up with white when you're doing colouring like this, in other words, a little white patch, that's actually not a bad thing. So each flower has its own little shadow. Oh. Come back with the Misty Moonlight. Let's just build on that. Now, I've got a little bit more work to do on these to make them absolutely sing. And I always tell you, it doesn't have to be super fancy, this. Don't have to be an artist to make these beautiful flowers. Let's do this one. But you do want to still drag up a little bit of that Night of Navy colour. You should want it nicely blended. And I've still got another technique that you're going to see that will help with any of that blending. All right. Now, I think this is my, yes, it is. Where's my, just got a little bit of yellow to add in there, a little bit of yellow to add in there. Right. So, how gorgeous are they so far? Now, I do want to add, and this is the way, you've got so many ways of doing this, but there are some little accent points. So I'm going to just go through with a little bit of Night of Navy. And I'm just using, I could use a Stamping Blends, or in this case, because they're nice and easy, I'm just using my Stamping Right markers. And we did have a special on Stamping Right markers not that long ago. Now I'm going to get rid of these just a little bit because they're going to get in the way. You know what'll happen. I'll ruin this really gorgeous flower. Now I'm going to get my favourite product, I think, my Wink of Stella, which adds that little bit of glitter. And it does that last bit of blending if you need it. Now, I know on my video you're not going to be able to see this Wink of Stella. Well, I doubt whether you'll be able to. Keep going in the direction of the flower, and then if you're running out, squeeze it a little bit. I think I'm running out of Wink of Stella, but really makes this pop a little bit. Now, I could have also added, which I did on the original, I added some, oh, wrong lid. This lid goes there. I could have added some white watercolor pencil. Now, so there we go. But I want to add some little bit of green. Now I'm doing this with Stamping Blends, just for quickness. You could do this however you like. Now, you know that I always say you can leave some little white spots, and that's okay. Oh, but I'm going to turn this around. I hope you can see this. I haven't seen a comment for a while. So if you are watching, leave a comment. Now I'm going to do, I think it's called the calyx around here. Now, so that was in Old Olive Light. Then I've gone and grabbed some dark Old Olive and just add a little bit of texture. And oh, one there that I hadn't done. And you've got some that are of these that are turned around. So I'm just adding a little bit of extra colour. So how gorgeous is that? And you can see all I did really was have a little bit of fun. Now I've got another little stamp sitting somewhere, and it's out of this set, Spotlight on Nature. Did I throw it back in here? Ooh, I'm missing it. Because it adds that really gorgeous, oh, here it is, really gorgeous background. Now, I'm going to go back to the grey granite because I like this being grey granite. And all it does is add, I don't know, I'm hoping that you can see that subtle spotting, just to take a little bit of white space. Now, I saw on someone else's post, I can't remember who it was, talking about don't be afraid of white space. I'm not saying you should be afraid of white space, but it's not my favourite thing. So I'm just moving this around, making it random. I don't have to use, doesn't have to, you don't need too much, says Anne as she piles it on. Anyway, and I think what I'd like to add a little bit of bling. And again, I'm using some of my retired embellishments because I've got so much. I mean, some of them are my absolute favourites. I'm just looking for, let's clean up here a little bit. Trying to find a pokey tool. I know. Can't find my pokey tool. Really, I've got nothing. I don't know where everything has walked. I know. I've got some tweezers here. So I've picked, I can't remember, these were from the Pretty Peacock, from ages and ages ago. But they're this delightful blue. Let's see if I can pick this up like that right now. And perfect for this. Now let's add a couple of these. Better make sure there's some glue on these. So how pretty is that? Then I'm going to just add, oh, some of them fell off. They're pretty old. It's okay. I'm going to then just use my multi-purpose glue. As you know, that's my favourite adhesive, and put it on the base layer. I've got those little, can I put 4 on? Come on, let me know. Can I put 4 on? Is that going to ruin it? I've got one sitting here looking for a home. Can I put 4 on? Who's going to count? I know. There it is. Might have to add 5. Rightio. Might have to do that. We'll see. I know. So how easy is that? So let's bring this back over here. It's going to sit on here. You can see having that extra stamping, how this then pops. Going to add some dimensionals here. You know, we're just about finished this project. It's a lot of fun. It's one where you can sit, relax, think of who you're going to give this to. Now, I don't want to stick this down until I've kind of got my little hangers on, because I don't know hangers on. Sounds funny, doesn't it? Because I don't know how far down it's going to be. So it sticks in here. Now, actually, that's a little long, so let's trim that off. Where's my scissors? These will do. Don't want that sticking out. Now you can straighten them up. So you can see I've just lined it up with the top. But it doesn't have to necessarily be. It's just what suits me. That's then going to sit there. And I'm going to add my favourite sentiment, and you hear me say this all the time, and it's from Wonderful Thoughts, which is still in the annual catalogue. You're wonderful, you're loved, and you matter. And I think that is so important for us all to hear on a regular basis. I'm just looking for a little strip of white Whisper White cardstock. Just grab a piece out of my scrap bin and let's see how we go lining up this up. Now I'm going to cut this down. I want it nice and thin because I think that's where the makes this pop off the page. Let's cut that down. Cut it a little thicker than I thought, but I'll still get that to work. Now I'm going to do this in Night of Navy, which I've got over here. So I'm just matching it all in. I've done a sample in Memento, so I'm just going to take some of that off. I don't want it to be black. I want it to match. So let's stamp this up. Let's put this in the middle. I don't. Line this up. So I'm going to put it on my grid paper straight. That helps me. But also, whenever I stamp something tiny like this, I put it on coloured cardstock. So I might line it up on the grid paper on either side, but it makes it so much easier to stamp because you can see where your white paper is. So I think I'm happy with that. I know. I could have made this a little smaller, but I didn't. We'll just leave it like this. Or maybe I'm going to run a little bit, take a little bit off the bottom. I don't know that I've got a sharp blade. Let's hope I do. I just want to get that out of the way. So let's see if I can just cut a smidgen off. It will cut a smidgen off as long as my blade is sharp. Look at that. Perfect. I must have changed the blade here fairly recently. So oh, that didn't work. That last bit. Now it's right. So now I want to add this one here. So I know where this is all coming together. Just making sure I've got the bottom. I've got it all nicely lined up. You can see what's going to happen. So this is going to sit there. This is going to just slide under there. So you can see how this is going to come together. And I want it nice and straight. Now let's stick this one down first. I'm going to pop up the sentiment as well with a strip of foam adhesive strip. Let's at least have it straight on my workbench. Line it up. Who lines it up by eye? Well, who'd have to measure this? I'm definitely a line up by eye. If I measure it, I'm probably not as straight as if I actually I'm just looking for my foam adhesive strips. And if you've got foam adhesive strips, use them. because I've got to say, the stickiness doesn't last forever. So don't try and save them for a special day. Use them up so that the adhesive stays stuck. Can I say stay stuck? I want to cut that off and we'll show you what this looks like. Have changed from making a comment. I'm not sure, Glenda. Every time I use this software, things have changed and I don't know why. It truly, this is why, when I say I have technology issues, normally it's because they've changed something. I don't know, so I'm just running that across there so it's nice and straight. Rightio, there's the project. How easy. Something just fell in the bin that was worthwhile. How gorgeous is that? Something is shown on Facebook. Oh, Facebook just changes everything all the time. Anyway, what do you think of this project? So this is I'll show you the original one. Just have to put it back together. Do you like the blooms? What is it? Gallery blooms. Let's put this together. One or the spotlight on nature. I actually like the gallery blooms. I'm so glad I changed it up, to be honest. Now, I picked a night of navy or a blue colour because I'm going to put this in my bathroom. Anyhow, so something strange is happening. I can't see anyone else's comments, and the settings have changed for making a comment. I truly give up. Adios. So, which one do you like? Leave a comment. So the first one was the spotlight on nature or the gallery blooms. I'm so glad I changed it up to the gallery blooms. And I even do like that I changed this up to the basic beige background. There's the gallery blooms. I've used it an awful lot. So it will just hang on the wall like that. You can see it's strong enough. I just need a hook on the wall and there I am. And I think I want to be reminded every day that I'm wonderful, that I'm loved, and that I matter. And I'm sure you do as well, because all of you are very special to me. And I know if you're a friend on my personal page, you'll know it's been a tough week this week, but we're getting there. So for everybody who sent me some really nice supportive comments, yes, I am getting there despite all that's happened this week. So, Hadio, which one do you like? Leave a comment. And I'm not sure why it's so hard to comment at the moment, but let's hope that we solve that. I might be able to solve that once I turn this off. So thank you very much for joining me tonight. I did want to show you. I just want to show you this. This is. I just pulled that apart, but that's okay. I'm going to put that out of the way. And I want to show you how to do this. I won't have the right measurements here. I just want to be honest. So I'm doing 1/4 of an inch each side. This is not going to work. I need to do those same measurements. Where's a piece of paper? Oh, no. Let's just use some nice night of navy. Now my original piece for these bottom pieces, because this makes it so much easier, is 2 3/4. 2 3/4. So let's cut that. And then I'm going to score at 1/4. Get rid of that. score at 1/4, and then I score at 1 1/4. Oops, got that crooked. 1 1/4. And to be honest, I can do exactly the same around the other side. So let's do that. 1/4 and 1 1/4. Now, I want to show you how easy. I should have showed you how to do this. So I'm still going to fold these in and score them. Because there's so many projects that we do where we make a version of a box. And I see so many people struggle. And it's so easy, and I forgot to show you why. Okay, so what you can do is I can put the strip along here. Where's my strip? Oh, no, I've only got a big strip. Oh no, here it is here. All right, so all I have to do is put my strip along here. While I'm doing this, don't forget if you're a local to me on the Sunshine Coast, I have a class coming up on the last Sunday of the month. Always burnish it. I think I might be missing a little bit there. I am. It doesn't matter. So I want this to come over like that. So I can just open that up. So I've got that one bent in, this one opened up, and I can just go like that. I don't know why I showed you that difficult way. And look at that. Easy, easy, easy as. Right? That is the way to do those top and bottom pieces. So easy and nice and square. So I'm sorry I showed you a harder version, but you can now see why you would do it exactly like I did it then. Ideo. Anything else? Yes, we've got a sale this month on In Colours. So many different options that In Colours are included in. Just want to bring these projects back, put them together again, and you'll see why you have to turn these around. That's exactly the reason. So many In Colours, including what you've been seeing me use. Even this is on sale, this washi tape, and keep selling out, so you don't want to delay. And we've got to the end of the month. So thank you very much for watching tonight. Oh, excuse me, watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for being understanding that I couldn't do a Facebook Live last week. Not last week, last night. But I've caught up now. And not only that, I have the new catalogues. So if you would like me to be a demonstrator, let me know and I'll send you out a new catalogue. But only if you'd like me to be a demonstrator. Thanks very much. I really appreciate your support and also your very kind thoughts this week. Hi, Leanne. Good to hear from you. So I did get some extra comments. I'm glad you like Spotlight on Nature. Unfortunately, in the United States, it's sold out. So that's unfortunate because it's one of my favourite stamp sets, but it's still going in Australia. It's not even on the last chance sale here. But I also like this one. So thank you very much and welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you've tuned in. I don't know what time it is in Oregon, but I would have thought it was fairly late at night. So really appreciate your support. Bye, everybody. See you next week.